He was he was new to the business, and I've been playing for over 22 years. So I just figured I'd show my experience and try to help him along until he got on his own feet and do his own thing. I guess he always took it as like I was trying to, I'm not that type of person. I really ain't. Believe me, I'm set in my ways, and there's times where if I feel there's something right for the band, I'm going to speak my mind. But there was just something, not working there, and Don started to have some more problems, his personal problems, and was missing time again, so we had to come down to the very hard task of having to let Don go. We had no other choice at the time, and we really wanted to play, we really wanted to get out there, and, so it wasn't an easy decision. It really wasn't. So what we did shortly after that was, we started to poke out, try to find singers and stuff like that, and then, we started getting a lot of feedback from the fans that were saying, hey, you did that one show, you sang that show, and you're a real good back vocal singer, and you're good, why don't you, take the shot at being the singer? Because you sing the songs very well, you know them very well, so why not, Well, the feedback that we were getting from the fans, I was talking to the band about it, and Brian was dead set against it. Did not want me to be the singer of the band. I don't know what his reason was. I know he didn't think I was that great of a singer. I know that was part of it, but I don't know any other reasons behind that. Harry, basically, like, whatever, he says, listen, you did it before, you know what it takes, so why not take the shot, So Brian wasn't too happy about it, but, what the hell, it was kind of like 2 against 1, like outvoted in that situation, so took over the vocals. Then we brought in, a lead guitarist, young guy that I used to work with back in the day in another band. His name was Rick. We brought him in to play with us, and we got it together, and I practiced my ass off day in and day out to get my voice to where it needed to be, and I did all the different things I needed to do to be the singer of this band. Believe me, it was something I didn't even think about at the time, but the fan feedback kind of gave me some confidence, and I just gave it a shot. So what you're going to see now is a clip of this is my very first performance as the frontman of Hangman'S Cry. So, enjoy it.
Hangman'S Cry! Living Thank you.
That was my first real test, being a frontman of Hangman'S Cry. It was kind of rough at first, but you know, being in the business as long as I've been, playing music, which is the only thing I know how to do in life, it seems to come along as it goes, you know. So it was some tough times. I mean, it wasn't easy to, to do what we had to do with Don and all that. And I never had a beef with Don. It was never anything personal. It was just a business, just business. I separate the two. So, I don't know how Don feels. I always felt there's like a competitive edge between me and him, which I never looked at it that way, but it kind of seemed to just happen on its own. Like I said, I don't know how Don feels about it, but I consider him a friend, and it's nothing personal. And all I can say right now is I wish Don the best in anything he does. That's basically all I can say about that. The show that you just seen, we had to release another member of the band, which was Rick, the young guitarist that we had. You gotta understand, I was that age once too, and I remember being a young musician, and there's a lot of other things going on in your life that you can't, when you're that young, you can't fully dedicate yourself to something. You can't fully, like, throw all the responsibilities on your shoulders because you're young and you want to do this, you want to do that. So we understood the situation, so we had to release Rick. He was holding us back. He wasn't showing up for practices and all that, and I had nothing, same thing, same situation. I had nothing against Rick. And, we just, young guy, you need to go out and see the world, so we did what we had to do in that situation. So there we are again, three-piece. Always seems like we're winding up that way. Yeah, but we kept it going. We didn't want to give this band up. I mean, we believed in what we were doing, and we just wanted to keep it going strong. So, we did what we had to do to keep it rocking. After that, I gave a lead guitarist a call that I worked with in the past in a band called Cryonic that I played drums in. Brian Rubens, who was a good lead guitar player, a good back vocalist. I felt he would be a good choice for the band to fill that void that we were missing. And he was totally into, the kind of music that we were doing, so I figured it'd be, best. I gave him a call. At the time, he was kind of involved in different projects, but he said, sure, I'll come in and, you know, he said, I don't know if I can fully get in the band completely because he had other things going on, but I'll come in and help you out and do what I can for you. So I appreciated that, and we brought him in, and you know, we started to play with Brian and get things going. But of course, as you can see so far through this story, that every time we have an up, here comes a down. So as the band was going on at that time, there was tensions in the band between Brian Tuckett, the drummer, and basically myself and the band. You know, it was kind of like the band and then Brian, two separate pages. So the one beef I always had with Brian on a business level, like I said, this is nothing personal, was that he never wanted to play out live, and I don't understand that. I still don't understand that to today. Why you don't, if you're in a band, why don't you want to play out? I mean, what are we paying all this rehearsal time for and practicing our asses off for? For what? I thought the purpose of that is to get out there and show what we got, you know? So that was one of the beefs that I always had with him, and he wasn't too happy with the decision we made of bringing Brian in, which I did explain. Brian, you know, at that time was possibly going to be a full-time member, but couldn't fully give us an answer on that right away. So he wasn't even really a full-time member, but Brian wasn't happy with that decision of bringing Brian in. I don't know why. He didn't really say why. I don't know, but you know, so the tensions grew, and they grew to the point where, you know, it just, you can feel it. You can feel the tension, and it was getting basically to the point where it's either we were going to have to let Brian go or whatever, but I think Brian knew it, he's seen it, and he decided on his own to walk away from the band. At that time I felt it was a good decision because it just wasn't working out. When you're not on the same page, it doesn't work out. So I thought at that time it was a very good decision by Brian, and the same thing I say to Brian is I wish him luck and everything that he does, because I played with Brian for a lot of years. I played in a band back in the 90s with him for 5 years, so it's not like Brian's a stranger to me. I played with Brian for a long time. But things like this happen, you know what I mean? Sometimes you just go your different directions. And it happens a lot in music. It happens more than you think. So here we go again. Hangman's Cry moved on, and we had Brian filling in with us, and so I called up a musician who I have a very strong tie with, a guy named Ambrose Souter. He's kind of like myself, versatile musician that can play, you know, basically any instrument. So I asked him to come in and play drums with us because he's a great drummer, and you know, it's basically wasn't his thing at the time. He was a lead guitarist mostly. So he said, sure, I'll help these guys out. So, you know, we had a lot of obligations that we had to fill, and Ambrose and Brian helped us out tremendously. I mean, I can't thank them guys enough for what they did for this band. And so we kept it going. With these two guys in the band, we had some good shows lined up. One of the best shows we ever had was at a place in New Jersey called the Pirates' Den. You're going to see some clips from that right now. It was just a great show. It was like Brian and Ambrose were in the band from the get-go. That's what it seemed like. So you'll see it right here of how good that show was and how good, you know, we blended together. So check this out: Pirates' Den, Hangman's Cry. living proof of why, at the time, like all the stuff we were going through, why me and Harry didn't want to give up on this band. It came down to just me and Harry, and we were like, what are we going to do? You know, we could have easily walked away from it right there, but we believed in what we were doing. It was in the heart, and once something's in the heart, you know, it doesn't go away. That's when I know my music career will be over, when it's not in the heart anymore. So we didn't want to give up on what we believed in, so we kept it going. I'm glad we did. So, as you know, at that time, we were in a hunt for a lead guitarist and drummer, while Brian and Ambrose was helping us. So, matter of fact, that same night, Pirates Den, that you just seen, I ran into an old friend of mine, a drummer from South Philadelphia, who recommended a lead guitarist. Someone he knew, somebody he worked with before. Gave me the phone number, gave the guy a call, and we talked, and, you know, talked about everything, and he was a guy who lived up in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. His name was Joe Porter. It seemed like from the get-go, you know, we talked everything out. Like, he was more of the guy that was like what I used to be back in the 80s. Heavy metal guy, like, really into the heavy stuff. And I was at the point of my career where I was going towards the lighter side, where I was past the heavy metal, you know. Still like the heavy stuff, but I was, you know, tilting towards the lighter stuff. So we decided to work it out, like, you know, 50-50 down the line, heavy, half light, you know, everybody's happy. And at that time, we tried out a drummer named Joe Montanez. He first came in, he was dropping sticks all over the place, he was nervous. But I noticed something about the guy. He had this unique style that was different from other drummers I played with. And I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, any musician out there that goes in for their first time, they're going to be nervous. And, you know, that's what I told Harry. Listen, the guy was nervous, you know. But I noticed something about him that I thought, you know, this guy has something. And I liked his attitude. He seemed like he was a guy that wants to really go far. So we brought in Joe, and here we are. We had our band back together again. We had new members. We called it Hangman'S The Next Chapter. So things were going great. We were practicing royally every week. We got really good, really good. We started to write new material together. And we started to record, because he had a recording studio right in Joe Porter's basement. He had a recording studio, so we started to record. Things were going great, as usual. Things were going great. But he always said, you know, things go up and down. But things were going great. We were writing new songs, and you're going to see a clip now from a place, I think it was a club we played up in Bristol called Freddy's. This is good. You're going to see a song that we wrote. I think it's the very first song we wrote together with these members of the band. And it's going to be a special song because we wrote it together. We all wrote it right there. And I love the song. I think it's a great song. And, well, let me shut up so you can watch it. This is Living in a Dream from Freddy's up in Bristol.
You